app here. First thing we'll do is select our sled device. So whether it's push or pull. So for this instance, we'll just select push. The next step is to create a load velocity profile. Prior to that, we've also got the setup and instructions dependent on how to collect Vmax using laser or radar or timing gates. And then we've also got just some information on starting stance and the sprinting trials, how many is needed in order to collect the data needed to do a load velocity profile. So what we'll do here is select the metric or imperial. We'll go with pounds for today. And let's say we put in the body weight, 175 pounds. Now this slider here will allow us to select each trial from unresisted to resisted 1, 2, and 3. So the first one for unresisted, obviously there's no sled load absolute or percent body mass. So what we must do is either input in miles per hour, kilometers, the Vmax that was attained. You will see this will also show to the right the meters per second. I suggest using this column to get precise on the meters per second attained, or if it is the miles per hour that you've collected. So here we can go 8.8 meters per second. We select the next trial. Here we have resisted. So on this, you can use both of these sliders in order to get it closest to the roundest pounds or whatever you're using. In this instance, let's say we move it to 65 pounds for the athlete, which is 37.1% body mass. And then let's say this slows the athlete to 6.8 meters per second. So we'll use the slider here to get to 6.8 meters per second. We'll go to the next resisted trial. I have some preset loads put in here at 35, 65, and 100. These are preset default loads. Feel free to change them dependent on what your loading patterns are, a heavy, a moderate, and a light load in order to get a load velocity profile. So in this instance, let's say our sled load is at 120 and just above 68% body mass. So again, let's say this slows an athlete to 4.6 meters per second. So again, we'll use our miles per hour or our kilometers per hour bar. Last trial we'll do is a resisted trial here. And we will use the sled load again. So it can be 100 or 75 total load. So let's say we have a total load of 180 and it's just 103% body mass. So again, whether you're using percent body mass or you're using absolute load, either of these sliders, and then this middle slider to get us as close to our meters per second, or if we collected it in Vmax. So let's say this slows an athlete to, let's go 3.4 meters per second. So here, 3.4 meters per second. Now what you will notice is automatically the web app, if it sees something that is out of the ordinary, for example, if you ran faster with the heaviest load, it will tell you that the R squared value is below 0.8 and you need to ensure that you have realistic results. So basically go back and check your data or your trials. So we can see here, this is some of the calculations, and obviously we are looking for a linear relationship and this should keep that in check. So if you do get a warning, I suggest you go back and look at your trials and look at your data. So for this one, let's say it gets the athlete to 3.4 meters per second. Okay. Next thing we have down here, step 3 is you prescribe. So whether you're trying to target speed strength, power, or strength speed, it suggests the load underneath here for you to prescribe to the athlete. Within the zone, you can also go up and down, right down to 60%, or all the way up to 85, 90 to a theoretical 1 RM for cyclical action in resisted sled training. So again, you have a slider within each zone as well, should you want to progress from week to week within each zone here. And that works for all. So obviously with our sled pulling exercises, what we can do is we have an additional zone, which is a zone of technical competency. And that zone allows us to prescribe load without affecting sprint mechanics. And that load here is less than 10% velocity decrement. And again, we have speed, strength, speed for all our exercises. Lastly, down here, which is the next section we'll go into in this presentation, is how to coach it. And this is to ensure optimal technique and training guidelines. So obviously we're looking for a straight line from ankle to ear on both conditions. We're not looking for a big break in the hip. This web app here will tell you the training zone, the emphasis of the zone, dependent on what you select, whether it's power, whether it's speed, strength. It will give you some coaching tips with regards what to look for, what some bad habits, good habits, and then some training guidelines. For example, the recommended distances for each zone of training and the intervals of rest between repetitions, and then roughly how long maximal effort should be for each. Lastly, just some stuff about the author, little bio, which is myself. So hopefully this is of use to you guys, and hopefully